I like this one because this is all action is all we're going to do. So it will be fast and slow. But so I gave you a document. You Zoomers, if you're watching this later on, uh, you miss out. Just kidding. Uh, now we'll probably get a link in the YouTube or something to what you're looking at. But basically what it is it's a printout of the Rep C, the real estate purchase contract. Every field has a number that correlates to what you should be putting in there. So it can kind of help you. The very best way to get good at writing offers is to write offers. So that's what we're going to have you do. Spoiler alert, your homework after this is just going to be to write offers. Make up fake offers. And we have like case studies, we call them, that if you want to get very specific, do those. If not, you can just write fake offers and then send them to Brittany at tc@kwwestfield.com and say, hey, I'm writing a fake offer. Can you look this over? Does this all look good? And she'll probably have some questions, some feedback and stuff like that. But that's the best way. So then when you're like, I need to write an offer, you're like, this is not my first offer. I've written like 10 of these already. Gotcha. So usually after a few of them, you get really, really in. There's a handful of different ways to write offers. I'm going to do one very specifically, but I wanted to just show you kind of the idea behind it. So, well, I'm not logged in. Maybe I can do all from here. Make that smaller. So if you go to command and then go opportunities, and then in opportunities, you can click documents and start a transaction or go to this. What it will do is it will create a room. And so it's like all of the people. So for example, this is my buyer, Josh Nilsson. This is not how you spell his name. So then we can see all of the documents in here.
Okay.
You send them through an envelope. If you really want more help with DocuSign, today there's actually a class at 11 o'clock. So I can help you with all of these. But one of the ways is you could write an offer by going here and adding DocuSign forms. We are not doing it this way for the record.
Okay.
And then there's these libraries. If these are not connected, you can connect your NAR ID, your NAR ID, and then these will start to pull. So you'll notice that we have KW 759. So these are our brokerage documents. So if you're like, oh, shoot, like Dean says I need to do for your protection, get a home inspection, or we have this weird addendum that no one else has. Where do I find that?
Okay.
You can find it right here. There's also links on everywhere else. Then there's the UAR association forms, and then the MLS, WFR MLS or MLS. So then in here, you could search like, they call it a Rep C? So like, here's the new construction one. They must call it real estate purchase contract. Hey. So you could do it this way. I think this way is way slower.
Oh, okay.
So don't do it that way.
Okay.
I don't know. Some people say that it's way better.
Okay.
Yeah. So try it that way one time in DocuSign and see if you like it. If you do it in DocuSign, I would pull up all of the details here and fill out as much information here because then it gets sucked into all of the forms that you do. So if you're like, DocuSign's my way, that's my way. We are not going to do that, so don't worry about that. The next way that we won't worry about that may actually be faster, but I don't do it, is if you hover over forms, there's this SkySlope forms. And so in SkySlope forms, it's kind of like the same thing. You start an agreement, then you can start adding all the documents and it can all add in here. Again, we're not going to do that way. You both should test that way to see if you like it better than the way that I'm going to show you. So let's write an offer. Okay. We're going to find a random listing, but I want it to be a KW1. So we're gonna do office, KW Westfield. Hello.
Frustrating drive ever.
Sounds like you're coming from Saratoga or Eagle Mountain.
I dropped off my mother-in-law at in Linden on Geneva. And I was the first one at every red light from there. I was like, come on.
All right, what house are we buying today? I don't like a to be built. Let's skip over all of those.
Sick, give you one off my list.
Here we go. Let's buy this one. AF, 2 days on the market. So we're gonna buy this house.
Done.
Well, at least make an offer for it. So, no basement. There's our problem. That's why it's so expensive per square foot. In this class, we're not gonna decide if this is a good price or not. We're just gonna write an offer for it.
Yep,
Next week, maybe even on Monday, we're gonna do that one.
okay.
So here is exactly how I write out an offer, step by step. I copy the MLS number. You'll notice I opened a new tab. This is just to make it nice on us. If you hover over forms, there's the Utah Legacy Forms Library. It sounds like legacy. We don't use that anymore. I don't know why they put a name like that on it. This is what probably 90% of real estate agents currently use when they're doing it. If they are not using that, I bet they're using SkySlope Forms. If they're not using SkySlope Forms, like I said, they're using in DocuSign, which I think is the slowest way to do it. So as you go to forms, you'll notice a little plus here, or you can click the forms. I would suggest always default to click the plus, because then we can add in all of the documents over there and fill out multiple at a time, and you can remove ones. If you click on them, it will open it and you won't be able to add more forms. So we're going to just start searching. And you'll notice if you search thing, for example, Rep C, the real estate purchase contract, which is what you fill out to make an offer. There's the addendum to, there's the assignment and assumption, there's the agreement, there's the assumption, there's the FHA loan, there's the lead-based pay. There are so many. There's a new construction. There's the real estate purchase contract. There's the real estate purchase contract commercial. You need to be careful on what you're clicking on, because if you click on the wrong form, you're going to start and fill out all of the wrong ones. So we're going to start by just clicking the little plus thing here. The other thing, we're just going to add an addendum just to give us more to do. So we click the 2, and then we are going to click this create packet button. Boom. Now this is going to pull up all of the information that we could possibly put in our offer. If it doesn't fit in our offer, it's going to fit in the addendum. We're going to fill out every single line. So what we're going to do is we're going to auto-populate these forms. So we're going to do a little drop down, because when you put in the MLS and click load, it will fill in a bunch of information for us. And then, so we could even add more things. So for example, buyer name. Let's see. Who wants to buy a house?
Sounds important.
Let's say James. I was going to use your real name. Nope. I'm going to make up a fake person. Jeff. Jefferson. Except for I added an extra R. Jefferson. So we have a buyer's name. Now that buyer's name will fill in all of the forms. The seller's name. We don't know the seller's name. Oh, look, agent
Dryers.
is Nova Lee. Oh. So the seller, what do you do if you don't know the seller's name? Yeah, so if Nova Lee's nice, she'll put the owner's name here. Oh, look. Daniel Williams and Novalee Bettis. This is her son. Wait. This seems wrong. The other way that you can do is if you click this tax ID, it will pull this up and we can say who owns it.
Yeah.
Daniel Bettis, not
Oh.
Daniel William. That must be his middle name. And Novalee Bettis. So they own, yep, Daniel and Novalee Bettis. So then when we're doing this, we could enter the seller's name here. I'm not going to, just to show you something, what happens if you don't.
Okay.
And then the offer we're gonna do today. Boom, we click fill and update things, you get this little success, but for some reason this doesn't hide it. So then we have to click auto populate form again and it will go away. So now boom, we have the 14th day of November. Jeff Jefferson is going to purchase a house from the seller. So we have the MLS that tells us the name. We have the tax data. And if we wanted to be super lazy, we're just going to say owner on record.
Okay. Do most people do that?
If you don't know the name, that's the name. So we're just going to do that for an example.
Okay.
We're just going to go line by line because basically every line needs something. Now, the document that I gave you gives you a number and it correlates to the next page, which is what you should put on there. But let's kind of talk about this. So earnest money. So our property is listed at 555. It's been on the market for 2 days. How much earnest money should we put? And what is earnest money? A deposit? You are not wrong. Yes, it is refundable up until your due diligence deadline for any reason and financing deadline for any financial reason. So we want it big enough to show like, hey, we're serious. And we also don't need to go so crazy because technically the buyers could lose this money. So on the buyer side, you want it as small as possible. On the seller side, you want it a little bit bigger. We want to start with something good. So now typically in Utah, we're about like 0.5% to 1% is very common. I never make it exactly either of those numbers. So I'm not going to be like, okay, the price is 550 and times that by 0.5%. And what's our earnest money? I'm going to round with everything. So if 1%-ish is a little more than 5 grand, I'm going to say, well, let's do half of that and do 2,500. If I wanted to be on the lower end, if I want to be on the higher end, about 5 grand. Clean, easy numbers are the best here. So let's just make up 2,500. In the form of, we are going to say check or wire. We are going to leave it very vague so they can do whatever. There's 2 ways to give earnest money to our brokerage. They can either write a check, like a personal check, or even a cashier's check. Either one works. They make it out to KW Westfield and you give it to the front desk. Or we have this system called Deposit Link. I have no idea how to use it or log into it, but Brittany is really good at it. And so I say, Brittany, I got it under contract, and she requests money of the buyers. From the buyer's end, it looks more like like Venmo kind of. You connect your bank account, and then it will say Keller Williams Westfield requested $2,500 from you. Do you want to transfer this? And they click yes, and then they sucks the money out, and it lands in our brokerage trust account. So that is the best way. There is a fee. I think it's like $15. So it's kind of like the same cost as wiring.
Yeah.
Deposit Link. Yep. And so if you want to, you can get a login and do it all on your own, but I don't know who even knows how to give you one. Shaylee, do you have a question?
I know that like matters a lot, but how do you know if, would you just say if like the person really wants the property, then like just go on the higher end of like.
Yeah, so it's so made up. So I have lost earnest money 1 time in 12 years, and I don't think it was my fault. I was the transaction coordinator helping another agent. That agent said, hey, we're gonna cancel this transaction. And I said, okay. I thought she was telling me, hey, I'm going to do all of this work to cancel the transaction. What she really said was, hey, we want to cancel this. Will you do that? And so neither of us did anything. And then the agent emailed us towards the end of closing and was like, hey, we're closing at this. And I'm like, why? We canceled this like 2 weeks ago. He's like, no, you didn't. And we looked back and we're like, oh, no, we didn't. And we lost $3,000 of earnest money. Really what we did is on the next house, we paid $3,000 of our commission to that buyer to make up for it. So lost it, didn't lose it. Was it my fault? No. I've lost the earnest money 0 times. I'm going to claim that. So you want to make sure that if the worst happens, that you have outs the whole way. And you just want this number to be big enough to make sure they know that you're serious. That's why I like the half a percent kind of number, because that seems real. You know, like I'm putting $2,500. If something goes wrong and I walk out on closing day, you get $2,500. So smaller is better, but I would never want to go below like $2,000. Kind of seems real low for most houses right now. It used to be common to just do $1,000 on every single house. You would buy like an $800,000 house and put $1,000 down. I don't know why that was normal in Utah. Nowhere else did anything like that. They're like, you have to do 1%. What are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. So then the property filled in here. Dean has another hack. And we're gonna put MLS number, whatever our number was. Copy that again. I'm pretty sure it's copied, but just in case. So if we mention that it's that property at that MLS, now this MLS technically is part of the contract. So technically this is part of the contract. So if Nova Lee wrote something here that was completely wrong, it can come up and we can say, look, this was part of the contract. I don't know when that would ever come up. That's Dean's hack. To be honest, he made me do it on my last one and I have never done this. And I'm like, fine, I guess I'll just do it. It means nothing to me. Seems like a good idea though, right? Why would I not? It was so easy to just add that in there. American Fork, Utah, 84043, 84003. The tax ID number. Okay, included items. So this, you'll notice that it's filled out for us. Do you know what this means? Is it grabbed it from the MLS, Nova Lee, when she did this, she put inclusions and exclusions. These are a suggestion. They are not binding. So I could come in here to our offer and say, you know what? I want the washer. And I could delete it out of here. And do you know what? If Nova Lee doesn't catch that we did this, she would be buying us a washer because this is her son. I actually know Danny, but so he moves out, he takes the washer, our buyer moves in and we say, hey, Nova Lee, where was the washer that was included? And she'd say, what? We're like, yeah, look at the contract. It is very clearly marked that you will leave the washer. And she'll say, oh, I put that as excluded. And we'll say, but we included it in the offer and you accepted our offer. So you owe us a washer. And it should be that one that you just left because that's the one that we want. So hopefully it's of like kind. And so this is why real estate agents have purchased more fridges than anyone else, is because they don't pay attention to this included, excluded thing. I would also click this other specify because we're filling in this form. These are excluded. And then typically we're going to say they're not additional items of personal property that they intend to acquire from the seller in a separate written agreement. That might happen. You know, if I was literally thinking today, if I moved, I wouldn't want to move one of the TVs. We have this mud room and we put a TV in there to put a calendar on it. It's like an older TV. I don't want it. We have enough TVs in our lives. I'm like, I probably would leave this if I moved my house. I don't know why I thought that this morning, but I would tell the buyers, like, I don't want to take this TV. Do you want it? And then I would not sell it to them, but maybe they would buy it from me. We would decide all that later. Unless it's like this weird scenario where you're like, I love everything in your house. I want to buy all of your furnishings. That happens if you're helping very rich people buy multi-million-dollar houses that are staged. They're going to be like, I love it. I'll take everything. And then you tell me how you found those people because I want more like that. Excluded item, water service. This is typically not here. If there is any water, this is usually mentioned somewhere in the MLS. I like to keep every line filled out, so we're just going to put NA here, just so we know doesn't apply. Now, we're going to write the purchase price 3 times in our offer. By the way, most of the work is happening on the front page. That's like most of the offer. So, or maybe we only write it twice. Okay, how much are we buying this property for? You guys got to tell me. This is what it looks like. It's listed at $555. It just went active today. It's a nice townhome in American Fork. How much is Jeff Jefferson going to pay for this? Should we just do 550? Okay. 550. I like to add commas. Okay. So 550 is our purchase price. You should read through this section because it gets very confusing. I'll try to make it less confusing. Earnest money deposit. We already decided what that's going to be. $2,500. We did not put in a comma in that one, but we will in this one. Additional earnest money deposit. This is also a field that you fill out in 8.4. We are not going to do this. I would suggest never doing this. I accidentally did this in my very first offer because I was in a rush writing the offer and I didn't read through it close enough, and I added additional earnest money. The new loan. What percentage down are we putting for Jeff Jefferson? Should we do like 5% down? Okay, 5% conventional loan. I need a calculator. I could probably figure this out in my head if I tried really hard, but so we're 550 times 5%. So our down payment is 27,500. I'm just writing this here for record because the balance of purchase price at cash and settlement is actually the down payment minus the earnest money, because the earnest money meets us at the closing table as part of our down payment. So we're really gonna minus 2,500. So boom, right? Clean, easy number. And so our new loan is going to be 95%. So we're at 550 times 0.95, which is 522,500. Seller financing, we are not doing that. And then our purchase price should, if we did it right, all these should add together to be 550. So we can double check that and let's see. 2,500 plus 522,500 plus 25,000 equals 550. Perfect. Did I lose you guys on this? For those of you that were like, ooh, math was the hardest part of the real estate exam. This is the most math that we do. It gives you the answer though. So you put in the price, which is the purchase price, and then the total of lines A through E should equal this. Where everyone gets tripped up is the down payment is not just the balance of purchase price. It's the down payment is earnest money and that. Yep.
Looking at like other ones I had written, and I think I had done like the down payment amount that I thought, they tell me off down 40,000. So I
Yeah.
put down 40,000 on the balance. 2,000. Like the total still equals the number, but I didn't do it subtracted. Does that make
Oh.
sense?
Yeah, I don't know how you got the right answer, but yeah. Yeah, so if someone's like, I'm gonna put $40,000 down and I want to do $2,000 earnest money, then the answer should be 38
Yeah.
and 2,000.
do 2,000 to the new loan, cause the total's.
Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe the new loan was off then. So let me tell you a secret about this whole section too. Nope. Nope, that's the secret is this is all made up. If the next day your buyers are like, you know what, let's put down 10% instead of 5%. Then you know what you would change in the contract? Nothing. I don't know why we have this section. And it's so complicated because if anything changes, we're not going to change anything. So even like we put a very defined number for the down payment, like 5%. If Novali comes back and says, no, we're going to do 555, we have to have that. And so we bring it up. Well, 5% is now more. We would have to come in with more cash, but we're not going to change that as part of it. So I don't know why. Because the amount shown in this may be adjusted as deemed necessary by the buyer and the lender. So we're making up numbers. So don't feel bad if they're a little bit off or if you're like, well, we can do 5% down or 10% down, 15, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know, we haven't decided between 10 and 15. It's like, great, let's put 15 and we can adjust this. What you want to do is you're showing that your buyers have actual money, that they're real. If they don't have money, like a VA loan, and they're doing a 0% down, that's going to show here. It's not a bad thing necessarily, because I think VA loans are great. But if you're like, we're putting 0 down and we need a conventional loan, then that's going to be a red flag in the listing agent's mind. Be like, wait, there's not a 0% down conventional loan. Like, what's wrong? You need money to buy a house unless you serve our country, I guess. So
Because
that's
even if you have some sort of a grant or a program for first-time home buyers,
maybe.
still a number somebody.
There's still a number that someone's paying. It's a down payment, but it might be like from a grant, and so it would be a down payment. So if you want to make your offer look better, more cash always makes it better. Because like, let's say Novali got multiple offers and we had to go above the 555. And she's like, oh, I think it's only going to appraise for 555 and we're at like 565. The difference needs to be covered with cash. So the more cash we have, the more she feels like, okay, well, if I run into a problem, you can use some of that cash rather than a down payment as part of the there.
That's where a full cash offer looks at least.
Yep, yep. And then it gives you little helper things as you're filling this out. So if a FHA VA loan applies, see attached FHA VA loan addendum. So that's a trigger. Oh, I need that addendum. Or if you're going to do seller financing, see attached seller financing addendum. You're doing this one, see section 4.8. So next, sale of the buyer's property. Does your buyer have a property to sell and is that contingent? If they can buy this house without selling their house, then it is not. If they have a house that needs to sell, it is contingent. Even if they're trying to if there's under contract, days away from closing, if they have a house, it is still contingent. Then possession. This is also one of those things that we put on the MLS somewhere. Possession. So Novali put on recording. We can make up whatever we want again. So some people are like, oh, we'll give you 48 hours to move or 2 days. I like upon recording, which so as you get to the closing table, there's 2 things that happen, right? There's the closing date where you go in and sign, and then there's the day where it records, where the loan funds and records, and it's like with the county, everyone knows that you own this house now, that is recording. It is typically 1 day after our close date. So that will be important here. So we check that one. Proration, special assessments. Any assessment for capital improvements approved by the homeowners association and assessed by blah, 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 shall be paid for. So quick pop quiz. You represent the buyer. So what do you want to do? The best thing for the buyer or the seller? The buyer. You're their fiduciary. So if
Say that.
the HOA or the city or something has randomly decided that they're gonna do some assessment, you know, like randomly condos will be like, we need to pave the whole parking lot, and we've done really bad at saving our money, but there's potholes all over the place. So everyone that lives here, we're gonna charge you $2,000. If that happens during the under contract process, who's in charge of this? Well, I don't want the buyers to have to pay for this, so I always just say seller. So that's the first one. Any random special assessments? If there's no HOA, you can put NA. I just put seller. Just in case.
Okay.
Who knows? Like randomly there, an HOA could just start up between our closing. Like that could be a thing. And then we would want the seller to pay any of the fees. So now we're looking at fees, costs, and payment obligations. The one that we chose to do is the HOA fee due upon change of ownership. So that's here in Novalese, it's $750 on this listing to change ownership. Again, we represent the buyer. Why would we not have the seller pay all of this? This can be covered as a closing cost, but I always like to collect seller here because who knows? Maybe the agent's not paying attention, and now you just saved your buyer $750. If you're looking to win an offer, you know, like if nobody's like, we have another offer, I would put buyer on both of these. Because then I'm like, we're not asking you to pay anything or do anything or anything like that. We'll cover these. So our offer looks that much better. Section E, the most important of the whole contract. If you don't fill this out, you do not get paid. How much? Well, you could still get paid. It's just not going to be from the sellers. You're going to have to call your buyers and be like, hey, you know how you bought a house? You now owe me money. So you're either going to put in a percentage or a dollar amount, never both. Do not fill in both of these sections, because if you put 3% in one and $0 in the other, I think the seller gets to choose, and they would choose $0. This cannot be more than your buyer broker agreement. It can be less than your buyer broker agreement. So when you're signing buyer broker agreements, I would default to more rather than less. I do mine for 3. I've heard of people doing them for 4. You are just going to offer whatever will get you accepted and get you paid. This is negotiable, right? I feel like I almost need to say all of this. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, all commissions are negotiable and not set by ever, like whatever the disclosure is that they always give now.
Come in to buy, like you're selling.
Uh-huh.
Do you put that, where would you put that? Like if you were gonna then, you understand what I'm saying?
So you represent the seller and and a buyer come unrepresented, you put 0 in this because you're not paying, this is towards the buyer's agent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yep. Yeah, the buyer's broker. So if you're representing the seller, you in your exclusive right to sell, there's a field where you can say, if a buyer comes unrepresented, you're going to pay me this much. So like I get this much for selling your house. If a buyer's unrepresented, I get this much, which should be more. Usually I do like 4.5%. Like I feel like 1.5% to kind of babysit a buyer is worth it. So yeah. So we're going to do 3% because that's what our buyer broker said. You're worth this money. I know it feels like awkward right now because you're like new and you're like, maybe I'll give them a discount. You are worth it. Like, remember that. It might even have been so easy to get to this point. Like someone called you off the street and you're like, hey, my friend said that you're a great real estate agent and I should use you. I just found this house. Can we go see it? You show it and they're like, I want to buy it. And you're going to have this weird thought in your mind like, am I really worth 3%? You know what's going to happen to that transaction? it's going to be a nightmare and you're going to regret every one of it. Yes, or the next one. We're going to blanket across, you're worth it. And you usually will have big problems. Transactions are not easy. There are always problems. And so if you got paid an hourly wage, 3% probably makes your hourly wage decent. But charge whatever you want. Right. So then, we have a weird one. So this is good. This is perfect for us. So Novalee Bettis is representing the seller. And that's her license number. Automatically filled it in because they grabbed it from the MLS. The seller's brokerage is KW Westfield, which is both the buyer and the sellers as a limited agent. And that's our brokerage number. Then me, I represent the buyer. And that's our brokerage number. I don't know why she doesn't get the CN00 at the end of it, but I do. Mine seems better than hers. They're the same. Usually, when you write offers, it's not going to be someone at the same brokerage. So it's going to be seller, seller, buyer, buyer. If the brokerage is the same, you cannot represent both the buyer and the seller. You are going to represent one or the other. If you have a listing and a buyer comes in and says, I really want to have representation, you know what you do? You look to your neighbor here, call them up and say, hey, I have a gift for you. I want you to be the buyer's agent for this buyer. But in turn for this, I want a referral fee. Do you know what a common referral fee is? 25% if you were to refer that to someone out of state. If you are saying, I'm putting your name on a contract and I already have this all ready to go for you, I'm going to charge you 75% referral fee. And you know what you're going to say? Sweet, I get 25% commission because I'm the name on a contract. I have literally done this before as the buyer, where someone said, I need you to be on this contract as the buyer. It's all worked out, cash deal, super easy. I'll pay you $2,000. And I said, done. $2,000 for a name on a contract, a couple of phone calls, I will do that.
Because it's not legally a referral.
Because you can do referrals all over the place as long as everyone's licensed.
It's not limited to 250.
Yep. If you're a licensed agent, you can get a referral for 100%. Like I say, I'm going to do you a favor and put your name on here, but I'm collecting all of your money. Don't say yes to those. Again, read through all of these things. Because title and title insurance, like what is the title company actually doing? Boom, they're doing this section 6 for you. So you should probably know what they're doing. Because like if the title company says, hey, do you want an Alta's homeowner's policy? Your answer should be yes, because that's what it said that we're going to get by default. You don't even choose anything different. So read through these. It's funny how often when you read through it, it kind of answers all for you. Seller disclosures. To be honest, this is the only line I leave blank because I have nothing other. I mean, you could put NA, but I leave it blank all the time. Due diligence condition. You will probably never waive the due diligence condition. There are a handful of scenarios where it would make sense to waive this. We are not in a market for this, and this is not a house for that. You always want to build in outs for your clients, because if you waive your due diligence condition, you cannot just back out for any reason. So if the sellers accept it, you basically gave them $2,500 earnest money in our example. So it is conditioned upon due diligence. If they are getting a loan, it is conditioned on an appraisal. If they are not getting a loan, you can decide, do we want to do an appraisal or not? You don't have to do an appraisal for cash deals. Some people want to. Some people want to, but they don't care if it appraises low or high or whatever, because they feel like, well, it's an appraiser. That would just be the fair price of what it's actually worth. And they're going to buy it anyway. So then financing. If you are not getting a loan, there's no financing required. If you're getting a loan, there is financing required. The next section is if you cancel after the due diligence deadline, but before the financing settlement deadline, how much money are you going to give to the sellers? I don't know why you would ever fill out more than 0 in this, but it is something. So I always put 0. Additional earnest money deposit. Again, we decided we are not doing this in our top section, so it will not be. So we can skip over that because we don't have to put anything. So addenda. Yep, you can just leave it blank because we're kind of skipping the whole section. Some people will put 0 in here as well, which is probably better because then even if you accidentally checked will, we're saying we will release you money, $0 of it. So then addenda, you need to figure out, are there any addendum? So we're going to ask for some closing cost in this one, just to show you what that looks like. So we for sure have an addendum. Also, Novalee and I are at the same brokerage, so we will have a addendum for that, right? The limited agency. So we're going to have addendum number 1. Because that will be our addendum to ask for closing costs. And then we're going to have another addendum, and this is going to be the limited agency. So we will create 2 addenda here for this one offer. Home warranty plan. Oh, yes, question. No, because the other addendum that because we're gonna have 2 addenda, but one is called the limiting agency addendum, and it's gonna have a number, and so we could put a 2. Usually you can stack everything all in the same addenda, but there's like specific forms for certain things, like the FHVA loan addendum. If we're gonna do that, boom, we'd have that, and then if we're doing the limited agency, we'll have that. And then if we just have to change anything, then we'll do an addendum. Yeah.
And then there was like, just like.
Oh, yeah. Disclosure of interest that, ooh. Oh my goodness. We have a disclosure of interest. Let's just pretend we forgot that. Because Novalee is a listing agent and she is listed on the tax data. So she owns this house. She has to disclose. Yep. Yep. So she for sure will send that to us. We know that, but every once in a while, like if I were selling, like you have to disclose if you're a direct family member of someone, which is sometimes weird. Yeah. I don't get that one because it's like, hey, I'm selling I'm selling my mom's house, and so I have to tell you that she's my mom. Like, why does it matter? Like, I'm not going to give her special treatment. She's not getting anything else that, like, but my aunt wouldn't. I didn't disclose that I was selling my grandpa's house, but a cousin I helped her buy, I didn't disclose that. We have the same last name. So I don't know. It's made up. Dean probably has a very strong opinion. I just do like my immediate family, like brother, sister, parents, kids, kind of a thing. Anyone further than that, I don't think we need to, but Novalee is listed as an owner, which is the other thing that you have to disclose. Okay, home warranty plan. So a 1-year home warranty plan. Do you guys want one? Why do you want one? Because why not, right? We're asking for everything. Yeah, we want the best for our buyer, and this is the best for our buyer. And yeah, this is a free gift. So I do this the same way every single time, because I want to have complete control. So I'm going to order it. We're the buyer. We're going to order it. We're going to have it the company selected by the buyer. Again, we have this, but we're going to have the seller pay for it. Now you can go talk to home warranty companies. There's really 3 big ones that market to us a whole bunch in our office. Silverback Home Warranty, Elevate Home Warranty, and Ibex. They are all great. You probably can't go wrong. I use Silverback. I know the owners, so I feel like if I ever have a problem, I could drive to the owner's house and like knock down the door. I know where he lives. He's in my phone. I go to lunch with him a couple times a year. Like, I feel like it's the best for my buyer. Now, all of them are about the same and they're all a little bit different and they'll all tell you why they're different. And every time I hear why they're different, they all sound the same. Someone just was telling, they came to my office. He used to be an agent here and he's like, I just got going with the home warranty company. So I'm going to look at being a preferred vendor. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, what's your unique thing? Like, what's different about you guys? He's like, oh, you choose the contractor, the plumber, the whatever. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool, except for I don't want to pick. Like, what if I don't want to pick? What if I just want you to pick? Because you're going to pay for it anyway. So like, pick the best guy. He's like, oh, you can do that too. I was like, okay, so you're the same as everyone else. So most of the plans are between like $600 and $800. If you do too much, the home warranty company will figure out some way to use this money. So you can prepay service calls because every home warranty company, if you have a home warranty claim, they charge you a certain amount of money, like 60, 75 bucks, something like that. So if you do too much, you're just prepaying for a claim, which is a cool thing because most of these home warranty companies will do a change locks and they'll do 3 locks and all you have to do is pay the service fee, which is like 75 bucks. So in theory, you could say, hey, buyers, I just rekeyed your house for you because I put too much money here. So double check. There's a bunch of flyers in the back of all the different companies to say what they are. We're just going to put 750. Seems like a good made up number. Again, if you get like a $600 plan, now we have $150. How can we use that with the home warranty company? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Any disputes? If we get into a fight, what do you want to happen? Are we going to mediation or do we have the option to go to mediation? Agents, for some reason, are very opinionated on this. I am not. I always click shall because that seems like the best option to me. If I'm fighting with you, let's go start with mediation. If that doesn't work, then let's go to court. Where other people say, you know what? No, you can choose if we want to go to mediation first. I'm like, I feel like you're just kicking the can down the road. If something happens, then you have to choose. I'm just choosing right up front with shall. Do whatever you want. Like I said, some agents are very opinionated. I have literally written offers where I click shall and they come back with an addendum, a counter offer, and the only thing that they change is this may. I'm like, what? Why do you think we're going to get in a lawsuit? And why are you like decided later? I'm like, that's dumb. Defaults, these are really good things to know. Read through that for sure. But then there's nothing really left until contract deadlines and the offer time for acceptance. So let's talk about these. So what's today? The 14th of November. Here's how I do my deadlines. Is I'm going to assume that we're going to do some sort of back and forth negotiation. Right? If we send this offer to Novalee today and we tell her she has to accept it by 5, she might have a whole bunch of showings. We weren't even at the full purchase price. It's only 2 days on the market. So she might say, let's see what happens on Saturday. We're having an open house. So what's going on with it? Maybe we get a bunch of interested parties. It's probably not in her best interest to accept this before the weekend. We want her to accept it before the weekend because we don't want a whole open house and all of these interested people that come in and buy the house. So we want to keep, but this is more, I'm talking to the offer time. So let's assume, okay, she doesn't accept her offer until maybe Monday. Maybe they counter us on Monday and we're accepting it like Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's kind of our timeline of what I assume is going to happen. Because there's some back and forth. So yes.
If she doesn't, because if she doesn't respond to you till Monday, even though you put she has to do it by today at 5.
Yep. Ooh, okay, let's do this right now. So let's say we're gonna make the offer. And we really want a decision before the weekend. So we're saying you have 8 p.m. today. Typically, my most typical, by the way, is whatever day it is, it's the next day at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock sounds very strange, is a weird time. Most people put 5 o'clock. I put 4 o'clock because at 5 o'clock, I'm driving home. So I don't want an agent right at 5 o'clock to be like, hey, we're signing and accepting and all these things. And then all of a sudden I have like work that's coming at me. I'm like, I just want to drive home in peace. And so I do at 4 o'clock because at 4 o'clock, I'm typically just hanging out in the office.
The day after.
The day after at 4 is my generic. Like if it was Thursday, I do Friday at 4. I might even do it earlier because it's Friday. Let's go home earlier, kind of a thing. There is nothing wrong with having this be at awkward times. You know, like Friday night at 8 o'clock, it doesn't mean that that's when they're doing all of their work. That's just, it's the time for acceptance. If they are accepting our offer as is, they have until 8 o'clock. If they sign it at 8:01, it has lapsed, it has expired, they did not accept it, we are not under contract. If they want to send us a counter offer, they can do that whenever they like. They could do it a year from now, because it's just changing. They're like, hey, you know your offer you gave us a year ago? We're gonna counter you. And you're like, what? We already own a different house. They're like, but what if you want this one? So you could do that. Yeah, as the buyer, so yeah, we might say like 8 o'clock today, or we might be like, you know, that's crazy. Let's go tomorrow, but let's do it before the open house and do like 10 a.m. So that way they have to accept us or see what goes on in the open house. This is all made up because you could send a counter offer to them saying, we accept everything in the contract as is, but we didn't sign it in time, so sorry about that. We now accept that you accept our counter offer to the counter offer and we're under contract. There's a better way to write that, but that's kind of how it works. So let's just make up 10 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah.
Or not, it was getting us, and like we made the acceptance time, like whatever the day, the time passed, but then they wrote a counter offer, and so then on the addendum, like, do we have to, cause like what we did is like then we made an addendum to their counter offer,
Mhm.
but then this time had lapsed, so then like we wrote like, we're changing the offer and acceptance, or like, how do you?
Yeah, so you don't have to actually, the only time that you would change this is like, let's say Novalee's like, let's accept this. And he's like, I'm 100% in. And they had this conversation at like 9:45. And they're like stressing us out because they have till 10, it's 9:45. And he's like, my internet's down. She's like, shoot, get on your phone. And he gets on his phone and he's like, I can't figure out my password. All of a sudden it's 10:01 and they're like, dang it, we didn't accept it in time. So then their counter offer to be, because this is now gone. This can't be accepted after that time. So now they have to change anything in that offer to be able to accept it as is. So the thing that they would change is the thing that doesn't matter, which is this time. So they're like, oh, we're just going to change saying that we can accept that now. And we are accepting it now. Are you cool with that? And then you sign accepting it. But when you sign the addendum, they'll also have one of these giving you time to accept it. So every time you write an addendum, we're going to redefine when is the time for the acceptance. So we don't have to redefine it every single time. It's just if you're like, yeah, I wish I would have accepted this as is, and then I didn't, that's when you would mention something. But you could change anything. You'd be like, we're going to change it from shall till may at the option of the parties for mediation. And now you have a day to decide. And anything like that would work. Did that answer your question?
I had no question, but I lost it.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of agents think that this is when you have to send out a counter. That is not true. This is only when you have to accept. If you're going to accept it by then. If you're going to counter, do it whenever you want. Now, I'm a nice person and I understand that people
Watch.
think by 10 o'clock on the 15th, I will know. Well, you will know I'm going to send a counter, or I'm not. Because it's really, you accept, you reject, or you counter. Like those are literally on the bottom. We accept, we're going to send you a counter offer, or we reject it. Those are the only three options. Rejection is not very common. Unless you're a guy asking girls out. Dad joke. So usually you'll get an acceptance that will happen before this time, every single time. Or you're going to get a counter offer and that does not have to happen before this time. I like to tell people, hey, we're going to send you a counter offer. Don't stress. Let your buyers know we're sending you a counter offer. That's all I say. I don't tell them anything about the counter offer. I don't say when we're going to do it. I don't say anything more. But then I seem like the nicest person ever. They're like, thank you so much. That was so nice that you said that. But then it's the same thing that would happen if someone didn't counter me in time. I call my buyers and I say, hey, we didn't get it accepted. Sounds like they're going to counter us. And they're like, what do you think they'll do? I don't know. Anything. That's the same conversation they would have, but I just kept them in the loop a little bit better.
So if it's 10:05 and they wanted it as is, then they probably checked the counter offer and just sent you an addendum.
An addendum. And the addendum would say, yep,
Just change.
the time to acceptance to be 11 o'clock. If you're cool with that, I'll give you till Monday to sign and accept it.
All they have to send is the addendum.
Yeah, and they'll just have to fill out something would change. And so typically they'd change this time. It's like, we have until 11 o'clock to accept it, and we do accept it. Are you cool with that? Which is the dumbest one, just sign things on time. So let's talk about the deadline. So we know, okay, we make this offer by the 15th. If they counter us, we're probably going to get that Monday because most people don't do a whole lot Sunday. If we're cool with that, we'll accept it. If we have one more counter, then maybe it's Tuesday that we're looking at there. So let's pull up a calendar. So we're here the 14th, so we're probably going to get it accepted by Tuesday. So let's give them a couple of days to give us the seller disclosures. Right? This is everything they know about the house. Typically, they already have these all filled out, so they don't need a lot of time. Every once in a while, they don't have it all filled out. And the seller disclosures, if you remember, what is it, section 7? Seller disclosures, no later than the deadline, you're going to give us all of these things. Most of them are done by like the title company. But there's like CCRs, HOA, all of that, written notice, and then there's a form that they fill out. So all of that's pretty easy to do. They can do that in a couple of days.
Family.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like if you don't have an HOA, like 4 of those things get thrown out the window
or rent.
right then. And then if it's newer, one of them with lead-based paint. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. Like you potentially could be like, here's the seller disclosures we filled out, and that satisfies everything. Yeah. So a couple of days is fine. Due diligence deadline. Now, as a buyer, we want the most amount of time for this because we want to drag our feet to make sure we're buying the right house. But sellers want the opposite of that. So if we put this out too far, we're almost guaranteeing a counter offer from them changing our deadlines. We don't want it to be too close either. So usually I do like 7 days after the due diligence deadline or 14 days, kind of an idea. Now that falls on Black Friday. So we are going to lose 2 days in that whole thing. So I'm just going to add us 2 days, December 2nd, best day of the year, my anniversary. Due diligence deadline. By the way, I don't make any of my deadlines the weekend, and I don't like Mondays as my deadlines too, because then I feel like I'm coming into the week and I'm like, I'm scrambling. That's just the preference. You'll get preferences like that over time. So financing and appraisal deadline, this is usually 3 weeks out. We want to make sure that the home appraises for what we do and that the loan is basically approved. We're like on the tail end of things. So typically 21 days. So if we look, that's the 5th, but we just put our due diligence deadline as the 2nd. So I'm like, I'm going to say a week after that. Again, we're kind of just making things up. These are very hard deadlines. And at 5 o'clock, if these deadlines pass, it's like they never existed. But we're making it up right now, and sellers can change this. So now, typically it's 28 days, right? Because I like kind of, the default is 7 days every time. So if we just say, well, that was the 9th, let's close on the 16th. Now, this is where we want to think a little bit as well. So this is the day we have to sign all of the papers with the title company. the closing documents. We are going to the title company and signing everything. 1 day later, usually, sometimes we can get it the same day, you will fund and record, which means the house is actually yours. Then there's the possession deadline, which is whatever we decide, which we said on recording. So if we choose that the 16th is our closing deadline, that means that they probably will get the keys on the 17th. So is that okay with you? If you put like closing on a Friday, that means you're probably getting the house on a Monday. So I typically would do my closings like a Thursday, so then they're moving in on the weekend. But I'll put 17. 16 sounds great. Now, things can move faster. The slowest person in this process, it's kind of the buyer, but it's the lender. So if you're like, how can we move this up? Talk to your lender, see how long they think. If you have like the easiest borrowers ever that each have like one job and they don't have any debts and they don't have any kids and they don't have anything that's going to make anything hard, neither has been divorced, neither has anything, then it's probably going to be an easy loan that as long as they can get all their stuff very fast, then it's really easy. Yeah, if they're like, yeah, we've each had our jobs for 10 years, they're W-2, we get no other money from any other sources, we don't have any debts. And it's like, I don't even know what the lender's doing at that point. I feel like they should just be like, okay, you can get a loan. You have great credit, easy jobs, your tax returns say you should get this, you should just get it. And then we're done. We're not gonna click acceptance and everything. So, I have this weird thing that I do. So you notice on the bottom, there was this button that said next form. I get stressed out. We've been filling this out for 1 hour. You're going to get way faster at this. It will probably take you 10 minutes. I get so stressed that when I click this next button that it's not going to save it. It saves it if you click next form. But my paranoia makes me click this save packet. Nope, that's not how you spell test. So, if you save the packet, you can find it later. And if you notice, it's saving when I click that. So we're on addendum number 1. But remember, let's go back. Previous form. We only added an addendum 1 because we're like, that's all we're going to need. And then wherever we put the addenda, we decided like, oh crap, we're going to need a limited agency agreement. So we click save. And then we can click add and remove forms. So we want the limited agency. If I click it, I'll show you why I hate this. If I click it, it will go to it. But then it didn't auto-populate it, and all I have is a saved packet. I don't have a next form or previous form. So then I have to go to my saved forms, and I have this test, and then I'm going to edit it. And then I'm going to go add and remove forms again. And we're going to go limited agency. And we're going to do a little plus. Boom. And then they're all there. And we click save. So now we're back to this. We're good. So then let's just go. You can click next form or drop them all down. So we're going to do the addendum first. So this is our addendum number 1. And it is an addendum. It's not a counter offer. Here's the offer. There's that. If you remember from the very beginning, we've done so much, but we did not auto-populate this form to have the seller's name. So now we're filling out again, but we did do the rest of it. So I usually put owner of record. I just did something different. Who cares? So now when you're creating an addendum, it has some of these common clauses to do. So a closing cost addendum, boom, we can drag that over and put that here. We can look through to see if there's anything else. Disclosure of interest, Novalee is an owner, so we can just drag that right over. And that looks like all we would need, right? And then we click load selected causes, and it will add them below. You can also type in things here. So if you're like, leave the dog, whatever. You could add that.
Paul Meyer, give it- it's like when
They
my
would say no
parents
to
sold their
that.
last house before retiring. They
Yeah,
wanted the hot tub, they wanted the lawnmower, they
yep.
wanted the antique tractor. They're like, we won't buy your house without this stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
I wanted the lawn-
let's talk closing costs real quick.
I was.
How much closing costs does a buyer need? I have a similar answer to you. I don't know.
okay.
The lender is the one that knows this. So, investors cannot use more than 2%. Normal buyers on a normal loan usually can't use more than 3%. There are loans that can go up to 4%, but they're specific. So I would say you're probably not going to go more than 3%. Now, if you know you're going to be doing something with this, we're going to just lean towards the higher end without even talking to the listing agent or the lender. If we're like, oh, we just need some closing costs covered, we can kind of be what seems more normal or real. Reasons that you would want a lot more is if you're going to buy down the rate. The more money that you can get, the better you can buy down the rate, right? Because it exponentially gets more expensive the more you buy down. So we would say, well, we want a whole bunch. With something like this, like it's probably normal, and I'm making up numbers, so definitely talk to lenders on all of this, but like $7,500, I think would get most of it done. If we do not collect enough money to pay for all of their closing costs, they have two options. Option number one is they come up with some cash, bless you, to pay the lender the rest of the closing costs, or the lender can actually wrap some of those closing costs into the loan, and then they get a little bit higher interest rate. Not crazy amount higher, but just a little bit. And so, let's just say $10,000. So we're 550, 10,000 in closing costs. The one thing you do need to think here is the sellers think in terms of net. What I mean by that is, so they listed at 555. We offered 550. Now we're asking in 10,000 in closing costs. That's the exact same as if another offer said, we want to buy your house for 540, no closing costs. Those are the exact same. The other big number that they think about is your commission. We ask for 3%. So if another buyer came in and did not have a real estate agent, and Novalee had worked out that she's not going to charge anything for an unrepresented buyer, they are actually 3% cheaper than you. So they could offer 3% lower and still be the exact same. You start to play mind games if you think too much like that. I would just build your offer, see what they say. And we'll talk more about negotiation in a later class. So we're going to say $10,000, and then we know that the seller is a relative or a real estate agent herself. So we already filled that out for her because we knew that. So boom, disclosure of interest. We did not add anything else. So then we're just going to give the seller the same time. What did we say? 10 o'clock tomorrow? 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then we're on to the next form. The limited agents. Our name of the brokerage is KW Westfield. And the property, I'm not going to fill it out, but we would go put the address there. So now there's two options. One agent represents both buyers and the sellers. Dean does not allow this, so you will never check that box. Two agents. So then we again have Novalee, that would be there, and me, that would be here. Fill in your full names.
State. Is that just illegal in Utah anyway?
Nope, it's legal in Utah. You can do it. But when they did an, yeah, they did like an analysis of all of the closings that had a lawsuit. And it was something like 95% of them were with a limited agent that was one agent representing both people. Because, yeah, how do you become the fiduciary? Like, imagine your seller is like, man, I just need to get 500 for this place. And your buyer's like, I love this place. I'd pay 600 for it. So who
Yeah.
who do you represent in that point? And most people would be like, well, you just split the difference and that does the best for it. But it's like, okay, well, if you two had that same thing, then you're probably not going to be splitting the difference. You'd be like, the buyer really likes it. Let's go a little bit higher. And the seller would be like, look at all of this that he asked for. Like, this is great. And then your buyer would be like, thanks for getting it for lower than 600. And your seller would be like, thanks for getting me more than 500. And they would love it. But yeah,
But
so.
yeah.
If it was literally my mom and my sister, then there's just no agency and it's a transaction.
Yep, you could just do, yeah, or just represent one of them. And you just say, I'm going to represent you. If you run into a situation like that, always represent the seller. Because if the buyer falls through, you have a listing. And then you go represent the buyer on a different house and you can represent both of them because they're not buying one house. So anyway, so then you'd fill this out. Okay, then we're saving the packet again. Boom, it's already named, so we're saving it. So this is where I go in and do it my specific way is I print this PDF. I select all of them and generate the PDF. So it should save to my downloads, or nope, it comes up here. And then I download it.
Yep.
So then here in 12 minutes, we're going to go do a deep dive in DocuSign if you want to go onto that class that's online. But then I would go into my room here in DocuSign, but I actually, to be honest, don't do that. I will just go into just DocuSign.com. It's going to make me sign in again. Don't do that. Oh no. Send an envelope. That's what we want. So you send an envelope. Imagine that you packaged all of these together. You put them in an envelope. You stuck it in the mail to mail it to them. That's basically what we're doing. So we're going to upload and browse. This is the one. So then we'd fill out whoever needs to sign these things. So I know that I will need to sign. For some reason, when you click your name, it fills in everything but your name.
Right.
So don't do that. So I need a sign. Then we'd add whoever the buyer is, but we don't have a real buyer. You can change what gets sent to them. I don't. I usually text them afterwards. So then we're gonna add signatures on everywhere that needs it. So first we're doing initial. You would change this from your name to the actual buyer's name, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to add initial and then a date signed. The hack that will change your life is if you click and hold and select these, you can do Command C and then when you're on the next page, wherever you are on that page, you click paste. When you click paste, it will go into the exact same spot. So if we're down here, paste it right in, it's going to go to the same spot. So you can do it as you're scrolling and it will just be there. And so you can just make sure it's there in the right spot. And we're just going to keep doing that. And we're going to be like, oh, this one's a little bit off. This one doesn't have a date on the bottom and the initials are moving. And this, again, we can do it, but this one doesn't have a date signed and the initials over here. Now, some people are crazy about things like this. So imagine if you had a husband-wife kind of a thing. You can just stack them like that. Some people are like, let's make it all small and nice and everything. Like, it's going to come through and everyone's going to know it. Then signature is the same. We have the buyer. We have the date signed. Quick mention is if we need this, the signature of authorized agent or broker. Dean has authorized you to sign these limited agency agreements. So you could add the signature for you and the date signed, boom. But then we got to make sure we don't miss anything. So scroll back up, make sure we got initials on everything. Oh, but we didn't sign this one. So we're going to do a signature. And then here we have a checkbox because we are a buyer. If you double click, it will check it, or you can come over here and one of these will let you actually check it. You could make it read only if you want, so no one can uncheck it. I don't ever do that, but you could. And again, date signed. And then we didn't sign this one either. And boom, we're done. Usually at this point, I use it to look over to make sure I didn't mess anything up. And this is why you save everything when you're doing it, because if you messed up and you have to go back and fill everything out, again, you're wasting another half hour or so. So then when you click send, it will send this off. Because I have something to sign in it, it will ask me to sign now. Otherwise, it will just say sent. And then whenever, sure. So then whenever they do it, they can click all of the signatures.
Populates the time.
And while you are waiting for them to be doing this, because they won't be as fast as I am, what I do is I start to craft an email. My email is why the seller should choose my offer and my buyer. And so this kind of goes into some negotiation tactics, but I will start to talk about like, I have this awesome buyer, Jeff Jefferson, who is the most amazing person ever. The neighborhood is so lucky to have him, blah, blah, blah. I will say all of the things that the listing agent shouldn't want to hear. For example, as we're walking through this house, if we see like a picture of all of the grandkids kind of a thing, and you're like, oh, this is grandma's house. I have a client that's about to be a grandma. I would mention that, be like, oh, my client loves seeing all the pictures of all of the kids. She just became a grandma herself and is so excited to make this her home. If you're the listing agent, don't tell your sellers any of that information. If you're the buyer's agent, tell the listing agent all of the hard sob stories. Because a bad listing agent will go to that seller and say, we got an offer. It was this person who's actually going to be a grandma like you and loved everything you did with the house. And here's their offer. And now there's like a little emotional connection. And they might choose your offer over someone else. If you are the listing agent, you do not do that because there are protected classes. Right? If a couple with no kids come, and then a single guy comes, and then like a grandma comes, and they connect with the grandma, the single guy will be like, it's because I didn't have a family. And it's like, okay, no, but maybe. So we want to try to do that as a buyer's agent, and as a listing agent, we definitely don't want to do that. I signed this to show you. So then we would download this. You do not need the sort of certificate of completion, and then you just download it. So now you have that downloaded file. Do not just forward DocuSign documents to the agent, right? While we were waiting for our buyers to sign, we crafted our little email of why our offer is awesome. You might get very creative in how you market this. Like this is a near full price offer because we're $5,000 off. We're not going to mention that we're also asking for 3% full commission, 10 grand and this, a home warranty, the sellers to pay our HOA transfer fee. We're not mentioning any of that. We're marketing it the best that we can, a near full price offer. We might mention anything that's great about our offer that we made sure to include, like, hey, we let them move over the weekend, or we're trying to close quickly, or whatever. We can move faster or slower, whatever your seller needs. So just let us know if we need to do any of this. Also, by the way, before you write an offer, I always have a conversation with the listing agent. I want to call them to see, one, do they have any other offers? And two, what do the sellers want in an offer? Typically, I'll phrase that by, besides purchase price, is there anything that your sellers are looking for in an offer? Because if you call an agent and say, hey, what are you looking for in an offer? They're gonna say the most money possible. If you can also ask them a whole bunch of questions, you're gonna get way more information. If you're like, oh, just curious, why are they moving? I always say things like, my buyers were curious, why are they moving? You don't need that information, by the way, but they might be like, oh, they just got a job and now the house is vacant and blah, blah, blah. Or like this one, I actually know the story with Novalise, like her son is moving, got a divorce, has a dog that can't do the stairs anymore. So they need a place without stairs.
Don't ask.
So don't ask for the dog. Yeah. So with that, then we could think like, okay, how do we use this? Like, do we need to be out? Do we need to move quicker? And so moving faster would actually let us lower the purchase price? Do we need to talk about how, oh, we have a dog as well? Like start to use those. And again, that gets in a little more into the negotiation class that we'll do here soon. Yeah, but then so download that, attach that to the offer, hit send. As soon as you hit send, you should message or call that agent and say, I just sent you an offer. If you call them, you're going to be better off. Call them and say basically everything you're talking about in the email. This is an awesome offer with my buyers that have a dog and blah, 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 blah. If you hit send, be like, hey, I'm so excited to send you an offer for your listing. Let me know that you received it. You want confirmation that they got it, that they're looking at it. Because every offer has to be legally presented to the sellers. The one caveat is if you don't know that you got the offer, you're not going to present it to your sellers. So you need to make sure the listing agent gets it.
You said download it and attach it to the offer? Are you
Yep.
Downloading the offer?
So I would download it and then I just go to my Gmail and send it in an email. Yeah. So
But it's just the one document.
yep. So then we'd have oh, that's
So, sorry, this is kind of
yeah.
back to something we've talked about already, but if you are listing a home and you know you have a buyer you also have a buyer who's looking for something that matches this criteria, you cannot represent both of those. Even though you have a buyer's agreement and a listing agreement,
Yes.
so like you.
In that case,
Agreement away.
yeah, in that case, you could call an agent like me because technically the buyer's agreement is with Dean.
Oh,
Dean's just allowing you to represent that buyer, but it's with Dean. So then if you were to call me and say, I have a buyer's agreement and a listing agreement, they want to buy that, like, my buyers want to buy my listing. And I can't do that. So then you could call me and I'd be like, okay, I'll represent your buyers then. And I don't need any additional forms because I also work for Dean. And so then I could make an offer and represent them and you represent your sellers. If it works out, then that will go all the way to closing. I should send you probably a big referral fee because I'm not doing any work. Like I didn't find the client, I didn't show houses, I didn't do anything.
pay me 75.
Yep. Yep. But then if it doesn't work out and they don't end up buying the house, like maybe the inspection goes wrong or it doesn't appraise or something, and then they're out, you still have them as a buyer and I pass them right back to you, you go close them. Yeah. Yeah. So then I always put offer on whatever, make it very clear.
Yeah.
Talk about how excited you are that this is the best offer, blah, 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 blah. And then click send. And you're good to go.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, here's your homework then. You need to go write an offer.
Okay.
If you want to be very structured, there is a thing that we do called case studies. That is exact offers that you should write. I don't care that you do that, but I do care that you do write 3 offers, one at a time. So we're going to do an offer and then send it to tc@kwwestfield.com. That's Brittany's email address. And let her know it's not a real offer, but you would like it to look over to make sure that you did everything right.
Westfield.com.
Yep. Say, make sure I did this offer right. And then when she gives you a thumbs up, then we're gonna do another one, but do something different.
Right.
Like this one, we asked for closing costs. Maybe the next one do a FHA or a VA addendum. Maybe do a cash, just so you can kind of go through, think through like, what would I probably write? Like who are my sphere? If you just have cash buyers all over the place, let's write them like an investor and figure out how to do that. If you're gonna do for first-time home buyers, it's probably gonna be a lot of FHA, so get good at doing that. And you will have questions in each of them. We did a harder one today because it had a limited agency agreement. It had a disclosure of interest. We did closing costs. They usually won't get crazier than that until you're doing like seller financing and things like that. But that's like a whole nother class that even experienced agents are like, will you teach a class on that again? Because I don't get it. And so,
So where, sorry. where-
yeah.
You said you're recording this. Where do we find these?
So this recording will be on YouTube in a day or two.
Um,